It's midnight and you're tuned into Nightline with me, Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. Here are the top stories. Defence Ministry to conduct major overhaul to its anti-corruption plan. Student dies, 9 others injured in university blast believed to have been caused by gas leak. Good morning. The Defence Ministry, MINDEF, will carry out a major overhaul of its anti-corruption plan this year as part of efforts to restore public trust and strengthen integrity and governance in Malaysia's defence sector. Defence Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Khalid Nordin said all tender and procurement processes will also be reviewed and improved in line with best practices, stressing that there will be zero tolerance for corruption and abuse of power within MINDEF and the Malaysian Armed Forces ATM. Khalid warned that corruption deprives Malaysia of quality defence assets, endangers the safety of military personnel and leads to wastage, inefficiency and reduced operational effectiveness.
Tidak akan ada toleransi atas apa jua kecurangan dan bersedialah untuk hilang segalanya jika anda adalah penyebab sektor keselamatan kita dikompromi.
The announcement comes as the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, continues its probe into alleged misuse of funds in the armed forces. Over the past 2 days, the MACC recorded the statement of a senior ATM officer, while on January 8th, a former army chief was remanded for 7 days and his 2 wives for 6 and 3 days respectively over alleged corruption linked to army procurement tenders. The MACC has also seized gold, high-performance SUVs and cash in multiple foreign currencies worth an estimated 6.9 million ringgit, along with 23 Rolex watches valued at about 2 million ringgit believed to be connected to the case. In the meantime, the MACC has completed the recording of statements from a senior armed forces officer as part of its investigation into the alleged misuse of national defence funds. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki said the MACC is expected to complete its probe within a week. The individual made a second appearance at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya around 10 a.m. on Monday and was released at 5 p.m. after nearly 7 hours of questioning. On Sunday, the officer, believed to be in his 60s, was questioned for 13 hours before being released around midnight. Azam said the Commission will provide updates on the case as developments arise. Earlier, Azam confirmed that another senior military officer is also under investigation, although that case is separate from the probe involving a former army chief. The Sultan of Selangor has decreed that pig farming operations in Tanjung, Sepat, Kuala Langat must cease. Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah ordered that existing operations must be phased out gradually before being fully relocated to Bukit Tagar. His Royal Highness said the decision takes into account the matter of public interest, environmental well-being and social harmony in the state. The ruler stressed that the relocation process must be carried out in a structured and orderly manner in full compliance with all legal requirements and regulatory frameworks. Sultan Sharafuddin also instructed that a detailed study be carried out to ascertain the quantity of pork needed to cater to non-Muslim consumers in Selangor to ensure that pig farming operations at Bukit Tagar remain at a reasonable and manageable scale. The decree was made after Sultan Sharafuddin granted an audience to Selangor Infrastructure and Agriculture Committee Chairman Dato' Izham Hashim at Istana Bukit Kayangan earlier on Monday, during which His Royal Highness scrutinized issues related to the management and operational direction of pig farming in the state. Meanwhile, the Selangor state government said it will expedite the relocation of all pig farms in Kuala Langat and Sepang to Bukit Tagar. State authorities have also given assurance that no license renewals will be issued for pig farming operations in the 2 districts. During a press conference on Monday, the state government confirmed that pig farms will no longer be allowed to continue operating in Kuala Langat and Sepang, even on a temporary basis, with Bukit Taga being designated as the sole location for pig farming activities in Selangor.
Tetapi syarat dia memang ketat lah, saya dah sebut, itu syarat itu. Dia mestilah ada penampannya, kita akan sediakan penampan, kemudian mesti tertutup, mesti tidak ada kumbahan yang akan mengalir keluar. Ini syarat-syarat antara syarat-syarat yang kita telah letak, ada 11 syarat-syarat itu.
He also stressed that Selangor has never been an exporter of pork and that current production is solely intended to meet the needs of the non-Muslim population within the state. A 24-year-old student was killed while 9 others were injured in an explosion at Help University in Bukit Damansara, Kuala Lumpur on Monday. The student was from University Tunku Abdul Rahman, Utah. The victim was identified as Su Yujuan, who was undergoing industrial training when the incident occurred at 11:40 a.m. during a routine maintenance work on the air conditioning system.
So this is totally out of expectation. We have no idea. We don't want to comment so much on the root cause. On the root cause. The student went to the site. So as part of the routine engineering to expose to the practical environment, and this is totally out of expectation.
Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Datuk Fadil Marsus said the explosion caused about 30% damage to the 4th floor of the campus and did not involve a fire. The hazmat team also carried out checks to identify and detect any gas leaks at the location. The exact cause of the incident is still being probed, with authorities awaiting the result of the Fire and Rescue Department's investigation. Fadil also noted that the explosion is believed to have been caused by a gas leak from the air conditioning compressor.
Setakat ini, hasil daripada letupan tu ada yang melecur, ada yang cedera akibat terkena serpihan tu sebab letupan tu kuat. Very high impact menyebabkan wall dinding konkrit tu runtuh.
According to police, 5 of the injured victims comprise 2 male and 2 female students, as well as 1 technician, all of whom sustained varying degrees of injuries. 2 contractors were reported to have suffered serious injuries. Meanwhile, 2 foreign nationals who work as a cafeteria staff sustained minor injuries. At the time of the incident, the area was not crowded, as students were still on holiday. Initial investigations found no criminal elements involved. Meanwhile, Help University said it is working closely with the building owner and management company to determine the cause of the incident. In a statement, the university said that the affected building was shut down to facilitate investigations. The university also expressed its condolences and sympathy to the family of the victim who died, as well as to those who were injured. In the meantime, the Higher Education Ministry has directed Help University to conduct immediate safety inspections on all campus facilities. The move is to ensure that the affected areas are certified safe by the relevant authorities before being used. In a statement, the ministry said the university has also been instructed to provide welfare support, including medical and psychosocial assistance, to all affected victims. It also expressed its condolences and sympathy to the family of the victim who died, as well as to the 9 individuals who were injured. The ministry also reaffirmed its ongoing commitment to ensuring the safety and well-being of all members across higher education institutions, IPT, nationwide. The success of the education system depends not only on policies and funding alone, but also on strong collaboration between the government, parents and educators. Stressing that education remains the nation's top priority, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said close cooperation among all stakeholders is essential to ensure children receive well-rounded support, both in the classroom and at home. Earlier on Monday, the Prime Minister and his wife, Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, visited several primary schools in the capital to observe preparations for the new school session and the disbursement of the early schooling assistance, where the Prime Minister spent time engaging with Year 1 pupils at the start of their formal education journey.
Nama apa? Nama? Muhammad Syami. Okey. Alhamdulillah. Tadi pagi minum belum? Ada minum. Minum apa?
Minum teh ais.
Teh o ais. Suka datang sekolah? Ya. Cikgu mana cikgu? Yang mana cikgu? Oh, cikgu ni. Dia garang tak? Baik. Oh ya.
Anwar said the early schooling assistance is a key initiative aimed at easing the financial burden on parents as they prepare their children for the new school term. Anwar shared that seeing the excitement and enthusiasm among the young students served as a reminder that every child carries not only the hopes of their parents but also the trust of their teachers and the future aspirations of the nation. He stressed that schools are more than centers of learning as they play a vital role in shaping character, discipline and identity. The Prime Minister further said that education grounded in strong values and humanity would help nurture a generation that is knowledgeable, principled and resilient in facing future challenges. Meanwhile, the Education Ministry has confirmed that the study on the need to revive the PT3 and UPSR examinations will be conducted this year. Education Minister Fadlina Siddiq said the mandate has been given to the National Education Advisory Council, with the ministry to conduct a thorough review before explaining the findings to the public and tabling them to the Cabinet.
Dan kita akan bagi penjelasan kepada masyarakat selepas kajian menyeluruh itu kita laksanakan dan kita bentangkan kepada jemaah negeri. Saya jangka tahun ini juga. Kita laksanakan pada tahun ini juga kajian tersebut dan kita akan bentangkan secepat mungkin.
Last week, Fadlina said the Education Ministry had reactivated the council to study the need to revive the two examinations. The minister added that the study will also focus on feedback and requests from parents, as well as evaluating what has already been implemented. Meanwhile, nearly 4 million students under Group B began the 2026 school term on Monday, returning to classrooms across more than 8,000 schools nationwide. The intake includes around more than 442,000 Year 1 pupils starting primary school, as well as 423,000 Form 1 students entering secondary school. Group B covers schools in Johor, Melaka, Negeri Sembilan, Pahang, Perak, Perlis and Pulau Pinang, as well as Sabah, Sarawak, Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Labuan and Putrajaya. Meanwhile, Group A states, comprising Kedah, Kelantan and Terengganu, involving nearly 1 million students, began their school session on Sunday. The return to a January school opening for national and government-aided schools marks a full reset, following adjustments made since 2022 when schedules were shifted in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Malaysia's economy is expected to expand by 4.3% this year, supported by domestic demand and the 2026 Visit Malaysia campaign. According to head of MBSB Research, Imran Yassin, the forecast is lower than last year's 4.6% due to expectations of weaker trade prospects.
We do believe that our trade numbers will weaken slightly this year. One is, of course, the impact coming from the tariff, so our export may be slightly weaker. Secondly is importation as well. So what we understand is that a lot of data center projects that was built in the past 1-2 years have already been completed.
Imran said this during MBSB Bank's 2026 Market and Export Outlook briefing. The firm expects inflation to remain low and stable at 1.8%, with upside risks mainly stemming from policy changes. Bank Negara Malaysia is also expected to keep the overnight policy rate OPR unchanged at 2.75% throughout the year, supported by resilient domestic economic conditions. The ringgit is also seen as having the potential to strengthen to 3.95 against the US dollar by year-end. Meanwhile, Malaysia closed 2025 with strong economic momentum, providing a positive starting point for early 2026. Maybank Investment Bank estimates GDP growth at 5.2% in November, driven by a rebound in commodities, resilient private consumption and sustained investment activity. Foreign investors returned as net buyers on Bursa Malaysia last week, recording net inflows of 42.5 million ringgit and marking the end of 4 consecutive weeks of net selling. According to MBSB Investment Bank, the 3 sectors that recorded the highest net foreign inflows were industrial products and services, property and technology. Meanwhile, the utility sector recorded the largest net foreign outflows, followed by plantation and real estate investment trusts or REITs. Local institutional investors continued their buying streak for the 8th consecutive week, with net inflows exceeding 126 million ringgit. However, local retail investors remain net sellers for the 6th straight week, registering net outflows of more than 169 million ringgit. "24-hour drug distribution service syndicate busted." This and more after this breather.
MHI sepanjang minggu. Inisiatif bantuan sara diteruskan. Apakah impaknya kepada masyarakat? Difteria penyakit jarang didengari namun boleh bawa mudarat kepada kesihatan. Rasuah musuh negara, perangi rasuah dan tingkatkan integriti. Parkir kenderaan merata-rata sehingga halang laluan. Di manakah moral anda? Isu tiket scalping atau ulat tiket, kita cari solusi untuk masalah ini. Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi. Hanya di TV3 dan tonton.
Di tengah ketakutan, suara kecil ini meminta simpati.
Suara terakhir yang tidak akan pernah padam. Ini adalah kekejaman yang menghapuskan suara kecilnya.
Ini adalah pertanyaan kepada dunia. Di manakah hati dan nurani?
انت شو اسم العيلة؟ شو اسمك الكامل؟
한 번쯤 내게도 기적 같은 일이 생길 수도 있지 않을까. 하지만 변호사와 살인 용의자로 만나게 될 줄 꿈에도 상상하지 못했다.
됐어요?
그 여자 완전 미친 여자야. 변호사는 맞아?
정신 차려 맹세나.
맹변이랑 있으면 자꾸 그렇게 돼. 그냥 내가 돼.
Letupan bom IED, suspek utama diberkas.
Rumah suspek dan telah menemui 22 jenis bom lagi yang aktif. Bila-bila masa boleh meletup.
Berhubung tanpa peranti, helah suspek elak jejak digital.
Dia kalau ikut kita punya semakan, dia ni tak pakai telefon bimbit. Jadi dia berhubung dengan pemilik rumah ni pun, dia menggunakan otak.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. Petronas has filed a motion in the federal court in Putrajaya seeking clarification on the regulatory framework governing petroleum operations in Sarawak. The application filed last Saturday is meant to obtain legal certainty so that it can continue operating in Sarawak in full compliance with the law and good governance standards. In the filing, Petronas named both the federal government and the Sarawak state government as respondents. The company emphasized in a statement that it does not intend to challenge Sarawak's development aspirations nor restrict the role of Petroleum Sarawak or Petros in the state's energy sector. The decision follows negotiations since 2024 involving Petros, the federal government and the Sarawak state government. While progress has been made on many commercial arrangements and partnerships, differences remain over the regulatory framework applicable to Petronas. Petronas said it hopes all parties will respect the judicial process and the role of the courts in reviewing the matter. A former chairman of Pertubuhan Kebajikan Serantau Muslim pleaded not guilty in the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court on Monday to misappropriating 207,000 ringgit in donations for humanitarian aid 7 years ago. 39-year-old Muhammad Hakim Muhammad Noor is charged in his capacity as the chairman of the organisation with dishonestly misappropriating the fund belonging to the non-governmental organisation NGO. The money was donated for humanitarian aid missions carried out in collaboration with NGOs in Myanmar, Yemen, Syria and Palestine. He was charged with committing the offence at a bank in Jalan Sultan Hishamuddin in Kuala Lumpur on December 27, 2019. The charge under the Penal Code provides a jail sentence of not less than 6 months and a maximum of 5 years with whipping or a fine if convicted. The court allowed Muhammad Hakim bail of 10,000 ringgit with one surety and also ordered him to comply with the additional conditions proposed by the prosecution. The court set March 11th for mention for the submission of documents. The man charged in connection with a fatal road crash involving a female student from University Sultan Zainal Abidin Uniza has been ordered to undergo a month-long psychiatric evaluation. The order was issued after charges were read against the 32-year-old man who is accused of dangerous driving, resulting in death. Muhammad Izzuddin Zakaria is accused of driving a car dangerously on a public road, resulting in an accident that caused the death of 25-year-old Shakira Hanan Mazli at the traffic lights on Jalan Kemajuan in Kuala Terengganu at around 1:55 p.m. on January 5th. He was charged under Section 41, Subsection 1 of the Road Transport Act. The court directed that he be sent to Hospital Permai in Johor Bahru for psychiatric evaluation following an application by the Deputy Public Prosecutor, who informed the court that the man is currently on psychotropic medication. No plea was recorded pending the outcome of the mental assessment. The accused was not granted bail and the case has been fixed for mention on February 12th. In the incident, the victim was killed after her car was rammed by the man's vehicle, which allegedly failed to stop at the traffic lights. Police also confirmed the man, who is unemployed, had previously received psychiatric treatment on several occasions at the Sultanah Nur Zahira Hospital since January last year. In the federal capital, a syndicate using the tactic of mixing drugs into bottled beverages and electronic cigarette cartridges has been uncovered. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Dr. Fardil Marsus said more than 873 kilograms of various types of drugs and equipment valued at almost 1 million ringgit was seized. A 29-year-old local man believed to be a distribution agent was picked up during a raid in the capital on January 7th.
Telah menangkap satu lelaki tempatan. Bersama lelaki tempatan ini adalah satu kenderaan Vios yang kita tangkap di kawasan parking kondominium di Jalan Kucing. Pada masa yang sama serbuan dibuat, pemeriksaan dibuat, menjumpai sejumlah dada dalam simpanan.
The suspect is believed to have been active in the Klang Valley over the past 3 months, using terrace houses and condominiums as drug processing and storage centers to evade authorities. Police also seized assets belonging to the suspect, valued at more than 100,000 ringgit, including vehicles, watches, chains and cash. The suspect, who has no prior criminal record, tested negative for drugs. He has been remanded until Wednesday, and the case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. One battle after another, and adolescents dominate Golden Globes. The details when Nightline returns.
2025 dah habis. Jom kita tengok 2026.
Hubungan kita bukan betul pun. So apa? Main-main je. Awak bukan sayang saya pun kan?
Tak payah nak ambil tahu pasal hidup orang boleh. Yang kau nak panas ni asal.
Dia pandai tau. Dia pandai malu.
Kalau nak nasihat, nasihat dengan hati.
Kenalkan, Nur.
orang penting dalam hidup Art.
Sampai bila abang nak tidur bawah ni? Kalau abang takut, Aira boleh tidur dekat tengah.
Abang risau belakang saya sakit.
Kau dah cakap sangat pasal mak aku kan? Kau cakap depan biji mata aku lah.
Saya layan awak macam sampah. Tapi awak layan saya macam princess.
Walau sampai detik yang saya ada separuh nafas, saya tetap akan cintakan awak.
Mak, tak perasan ke? Ha? Muka dia tu macam tak suka kita datang.
Malam kau pergi mana? Aku call kau tak angkat. Mesej pun kau tak baca.
Tapi, walaupun kerja macam tu, diorang lolek tau.
Kalau bos nak, saya boleh tolong carikan kawan bos tu. Sorry Cik Farah, saya nak pergi kat kereta ambil barang je.
Every time I see.
Kita banyak muka dia jadi apa pun tak dapat.
Aku tak faham lah. Kenapa kau suruh aku tipu Siti tu? Saya ingin mengucapkan selamat tahun baru.
Selamat tahun baru. Selamat tahun baru 2026 kepada semua penonton TV3
dan juga Sultan.
Suara terakhir yang tidak akan pernah padam. Ini adalah kekejaman yang menghapuskan suara kecilnya.
News from the foreign front. Iran on Monday said it was maintaining communication with the United States as President Donald Trump considered responses to a violent crackdown on protests. It also stressed that Tehran does not seek war while warning adversaries against any miscalculation. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai said the communication channel between Foreign Minister Abbas Arashi and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff remains open, with messages exchanged as needed. He also emphasized that Iran is committed to diplomacy. Earlier, Arashi said Tehran does not plan preemptive military action, but is fully prepared for war if attacked. The foreign minister also stressed that Tehran is even more prepared than during its 12-day conflict with Israel in June. This comes after Trump on Sunday said the U.S. could meet with Iranian officials and was in touch with the opposition, while warning Iran's leaders of possible military action over the crackdown on protesters. State media reported that over 100 security personnel were killed in the protests, while opposition activists claimed the toll was higher, including hundreds of protesters. The top court of the United Nations has opened a landmark case accusing Myanmar of committing genocide against its mostly Muslim Rohingya minority. The trial, the International Court of Justice's first full genocide case in over a decade, will span 3 weeks of hearings. Gambia's Justice Minister Dauda Jallow told the ICJ in The Hague on Monday that Myanmar's military deliberately targeted the Rohingya to destroy the community. Gambia filed the case against Myanmar at the ICJ in 2019, 2 years after a military offensive displaced around 750,000 Rohingya, with refugees reporting mass killings, rape and arson. A UN fact-finding mission concluded that the 2017 offensive included genocidal acts, but Myanmar's authorities rejected the report, calling it a legitimate counter-terrorism campaign against Rohingya armed groups. One battle after another, and adolescents have dominated this year's Golden Globes, taking home 4 awards each. One battle after another, a politically charged black comedy loosely based on the 1990 novel Vineland, won Best Comedy or Musical on Sunday at the 83rd edition of the annual awards in Los Angeles. The film, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson and starring Leonardo DiCaprio, also took top honors for Best Director, Best Screenplay and Best Supporting Actress. Meanwhile, Netflix hit Adolescence, which sparked a global conversation on online misogyny, won Best Limited Series, Anthology Series or Television Movie, along with acting awards for 3 of its cast members. Timothée Chalamet nabbed his first Golden Globe, picking up the award for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy for his role in the sports comedy drama Marty Supreme. Other big winners included Hamnet, Chloe Zhao's portrayal of the marriage between William and Agnes Shakespeare after the loss of their child, which won Best Drama, and Sinners, a vampire horror set in Jim Crow-era Mississippi, directed by Ryan Coogler, which earned awards for box office and cinematic achievement, as well as Best Score.
Yes, congratulations.
And switching to sports now, the Selangor Red Giants SRG are now just one step away from advancing to the knockout stage of the Mobile Legends Bang Bang World Championship M7 after defeating Russia's team Spirit in Jakarta, Indonesia. SRG, featuring Yums, Sekis, Stormy and imports Cram and Innocent, had no trouble overcoming Team Spirit in just 14 minutes under the best-of-1 format on Sunday. This marked SRG's second victory, led by coach Michelangelo Boccardo, Arcadia, after previously defeating another national representative, CG Esports, in the first round of the Swiss stage on Saturday. Up next, SRG is set to face Team Liquid from the Philippines in the final match of the Swiss stage on Tuesday. And that wraps up this edition of Nightline. We leave you with visuals of a traditional Afro-Brazilian festival in Ouro Preto, Brazil, where participants parade through the streets, singing and playing instruments. With that, I'm Muhammed Hamdan. Thanks for watching and stay safe.